Hi, I'm Dr. Karen James, a psychologist and energy healer in the UK. Welcome to the Life Made Easier podcast, where we explore how energy, emotions, and awareness influence our everyday life. Each week, we have practical conversations about energy healing and the small shifts that can make a real difference. We explore how understanding energy can help you navigate relationships, manage stress, make clearer decisions, and feel more like yourself.
Hi, everybody. I'm Dr. Tiffany Hunter. I'm an energy healer in the United States. So, this is our second episode of a three-part series. Last week, we talked about what an aura is, although we have talked about it before if you want to hit those ones up too. This episode, we're going to talk about how we actually clean one and keep it free of debris and other people and the kinds of spaces around us. And then next week, we're going to talk about how would we protect it. But this week, we're going to talk about how to clean it, how to keep it clean, and hopefully most of this episode we have committed to being practical and how to, and leave the theory for last week.
Yes, we promise to not get too theoretical.
We're going to do our very best.
So maybe a good place
it's not an easy thing to talk about.
Yeah, yeah. And maybe a good place to start is that we kind of touched on it in the last episode, and you will find it helpful to go back and listen to that first episode before this one. But one of the challenges is that cleaning your aura is often presented as something you can do through a visualization, much like a meditation, which can be helpful in a relaxing sense, but by itself, just visualizing something doesn't necessarily really change anything in your energy system. So one of the things we want to really, really encourage you to do is to try to use that visualization, because we have to use our minds a bit to do anything like this. We can't not have a mind. But really try and feel into your body, whatever, any of the options we're going to talk through. Really try and feel into your body. Slow down. Don't let your mind race ahead. Oh, I'm picturing this and I'm picturing that, because that by itself won't be very effective. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a hugely visual person. I'm not a big fan of guided meditations because when people ask me to sit down and do a guided meditation, I have trouble visualizing what they're asking me to visualize. And especially when they say things like, you're walking down a path and then notice the house in front of you. And I'm like, but the path I imagined didn't have a house. Now you want me to plunk a house. Because it's hard, I get very confused and I get sort of irritated, and that's not helpful at all. So if that's you for this conversation, don't worry about it. It's not actually the visualization that does the work of what we're trying to do. The visualization is really just the connection between what your mind would like, which is for the aura to be clean, and your body's ability to do its cleansing routine so that it becomes clean. It's really just the bridge between those things.
Yeah. And as Tiffany says, it really doesn't matter which visualization you use if you are doing that. And in fact, some people may find it easier to kind of try and jump to the feeling through their energy. But there are different ways you can approach this. They don't all include some kind of visualization. So we're just going to run through a very quick kind of list. I think, Tiffany, you mentioned in the last episode that crystals don't have the effect of cleaning your aura. Holding a crystal or wearing crystals or keeping them in your pockets won't by itself clean or protect your aura. They do have a sort of vibrational field which may make you feel a different way than how you feel when you're not holding them, but that almost certainly isn't going to have the impact of cleansing your aura. So
absolutely.
If it helps you to focus to sit with a crystal and it feels comfortable for you, then sure, but it's not something by itself that's...
It's not going to keep anything clean. Yeah, neither I've seen people wear jewelry, sacred geometry jewelry, or metal that's been infused with a vibration as a means to keep things out of the aura, that doesn't work either. The truth about keeping a clean aura is that there's really only one way to have a clean aura, which is to have your aura clean itself or to have somebody else clean it. But for the purposes of this conversation, it's really just your aura knows how to clean itself, and it will do it regularly, just not consistently enough for the purposes of our modern culture.
Yeah. So probably the only external thing that really cleans your aura is smoke. So we can get access to that. I mean, you could stand next to a smoky bonfire, slightly less pleasant. When you're sitting around a campfire and the smoke always comes at the people, wherever you sit, it's in your eyes and but by burning some herbs, some incense, I mean, sage is a commonly used herb for this because it is naturally quite purifying and cleansing, but really any smoke will do. So, and it's something we've mentioned in quite a lot of our podcasts, and we also realized that we hadn't taken the time to really, really tell you how to do that. So we're going to do that in a minute. But first, we'll continue with our list of things that do actually help you clean your aura, which I think we're rapidly coming to the end of, actually. So meditation.
I was going to say the list of external things is one, smoke.
Yeah. So and just to follow on from what we were saying earlier, meditation also by itself, meditation as a mental visualization by itself also won't do the job of cleaning your aura. But a kind of a meditation that involves trying to feel into your energy could.
Right. I don't know that I have an answer for why smoke cleans things, because it doesn't just clean the aura, it also cleans objects, it cleans the air in a space, it just cleans dirty energy. And I don't know, I mean, the thing people have probably heard me say before is I don't know why that's true any more than I know why water makes things wet. It's just how it works. But do you have a better answer than that?
Well, I don't know for sure, but just off the top of my head, listening to you talk and what's kind of jumping in my mind, I wonder if it's I often use this example when I'm talking about energy generally. When I was at school, one of the few things from physics that stuck in my head, I'm not really a scientist, was a demonstration they gave us of kinetic energy. So kinetic energy is the idea that inside everything everything is made up of molecules and they're gently vibrating, and in a solid item they're vibrating really slowly, and that means the thing holds a very solid form, and in liquid they're vibrating faster, which liquid is obviously it's very tangible still, but it's less solid. And then gas is they're moving even faster. And I wonder if there's something about the energy denseness, like smoke is very ephemeral somehow, is that the right word? And I wonder if that, because it's not dense, whatever the opposite of dense is, it almost like it's able to infiltrate your energetic, like we can't see that, we can't see our aura, but somehow the smoke just moves through it in a way that other things don't so much. I don't know.
Yeah, I could be. I mean, as somebody who's not a fan of the physical parts of smoke, my response to that is you would think more intuitively it would make it dirty, because physically smoke, I mean, I'm not a fan of the smoke because I don't like the way it smells on my clothes. I don't like the ash silt on the furniture. I don't like any of that. So to me, physically, smoke is actually quite dirty. So it's ironic to me that energetically it makes things cleaner.
Yeah, I like the lingering smell. I'm not so keen on the mess it can make, but yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's leave that there and we'll talk through how to do it.
Yeah,
anyway.
I honestly don't know why. But the beauty of that is that you don't need to know anything, feel anything, or believe anything in order for you to sage or use other incense or whatever it is that you'd like to use to clean yourself, your space, or your objects.
I think that one can also be really helpful if you are when you're beginning as well, and you kind of might be doubting yourself, or if you're feeling really wobbly and you want something that's very concrete, that doesn't require
Hmm.
you to use your mind or try and be relaxed and tune into your energy system.
Yeah. I think it's also a wonderful way when you're first learning to have a before and after, because you
Yeah.
can do something like spend the day at a concert or out on the beach or in a shopping mall or wherever you happen to be, and then come home and sage yourself and you will notice a difference. And it's a nice way to notice those before and after moments or gain confidence, as you say, that something has actually happened, or have a bunch of people in your house and then sage it and feel the difference.
Do you think, with that in mind, I was wondering about being out in nature and how that might help in this respect. Um, um, because I feel like when we go out in nature, particularly if we're being really mindful and relaxed, our energy tends to open out a little bit, which I think makes it
Hmm.
easier for stuff to just naturally release out as
Hmm.
it's designed to. But most of us have learned to hold it all in. Um,
Well,
whether,
you make me think about what we're saying, that the aura does know how to clean
yeah.
itself. It just doesn't do it with enough frequency given our modern lifestyle.
Mm,
So maybe what you're tapping into is that if I'm walking through a forest, that cleansing process happens as it does all the time. And because I'm where I am, I feel it is more beneficial and it has more benefit because I'm not standing in downtown New York.
mm. Do you think standing in sunshine, you live somewhere that has a lot more sunshine than I do, um, although not currently. Do you think standing in sunshine also helps?
I think I've noticed more that sunshine strengthens my aura than
Hmm.
cleans it.
Okay, interesting.
But I've also noticed that there's, I want to say, for lack of better words, good Sundays and bad Sundays. Like sometimes the energy of the sun feels more healing and nurturing and strengthening, fortifying, I think is the word I would use. And then there's other days where it just feels worse. And I don't
Harsh.
want it harsh. That's, yeah, harsh. And it's got nothing to do with the temperature or the humidity levels.
Hmm.
I don't know what it has to do with, but
So then to kind of take us on to some of the visualizations, I guess I'm also curious, because you can use this visualization again to feel in to your energy, but um,
well,
literally
can I interrupt you before we do that? Maybe we should talk to people about how to use the smoke. Because again, we made a promise that, that we were going to talk about how to, like, what do you actually do when you
I
have
was
the sage in your hand?
sorry, I was just trying to finish the list of possible
Oh,
options.
sorry. Go ahead.
That's
Finish
okay.
your list.
I was wondering if literally standing in a shower of water or maybe standing in wind, whether those things also help, because we could use those as like visual metaphors, and we're going to, in fact,
Hmm.
to help you tune in. Um, I mean, I feel like having a physical shower helps.
Helps, but I think it's mostly physical and mental that it helps. I don't think
Yeah,
it helps the aura. And I
yeah.
think being in wind can be positively agitating to to the aura.
Yeah, a bit like the sun, it can be a nice
Hmm.
gentle breeze can feel lovely swirling around you, and really windy can feel kind of, yeah, too much.
Buffeting. Yeah.
Yeah, and draining and tiring, I think. Yeah. Okay. So, couple of just very quick practical questions. Um, can you clean your aura while you're doing other things? And should you be in any particular place or time to do it?
Um, sure. With practice.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
this
I mean,
really
I
is a
clean my
kind of
aura all the
muscle,
time
isn't
while
it?
I'm doing other things.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But to start with, you'll definitely need to really take some time and repeated time, I think, to take
Sure.
yourself through
I
it and
mean,
really really paying
when I
attention.
teach when I teach people how to clean their aura, and I think this is true for you because I've seen you do it, and I think even here on this podcast, when we walk people through it, it's going to be one tops minute and a half, 1.5 minutes. And that's the very first time somebody learns how to do it. I think if you're taking longer than that, you're really getting overly intellectualized about it. And so with practice, the goal is to be able to do it with your eyes open as you're walking across the room, right?
Or while you're sat at your desk at work, or in the middle of an argument with your partner, or yeah,
exactly.
absolutely.
And to do it with your eyes open so it's nobody else's business. You can do it with anonymity.
Yeah. How often? Good question. I think when it, I kind of feel like there's some value in creating a habit, a regular habit. Maybe it's a bit like, I feel like we often use this example for things as well, brushing our teeth. So many people have a routine of they brush their teeth twice a day, but then there might be other odd occasions, like you're going to the dentist, or I don't know, going on a date, or you just have eaten something that feels kind of not very nice in your mouth. So then you might brush your teeth an extra time.
Right.
And whether maybe cleaning your aura is a little bit like that, but there's probably some value in creating a habit and a routine, and maybe attaching it to something else, like when you're brushing your teeth might be a good time, or when you sit on the loo, or something like that. And if you start to feel a bit off, you might think, oh, maybe I'll just give my aura a clean and see if that helps.
Yeah. I like the every time you go to the restroom thing, because whether or not you're a man or a woman, you've got a few moments to yourself. It's kind of a reset. You take a second, you've got 15, 20 seconds, you've got 2 or 3 seconds to do it, and if you attach it to that, then you'll remember to do it.
Do you think you can overdo it?
I do not think you can overdo it. You're not going to hurt it. You're going to wear it out.
And a last question that I've been asked before is, how do I know I'm not imagining it? That I'm just doing something.
We could do a whole podcast on that, really, couldn't we?
I mean,
sorry?
I was just going to say, I think the short answer is you don't, to start with.
That was exactly what I was going to say. I was going to say, you don't in the beginning, and don't worry about it. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
Just keep going, and you'll gain experience, and that experience will gain you confidence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And don't leave your discernment and your skepticism at the door. I think we have to, because that's not a good idea. So keep your discernment, keep your ability to reflect on whether or not something is happening or not happening, but just give it a go, and just give it a go long enough that you begin to, it's like riding a bicycle. When you first start doing it, you wobble, you wiggle, you don't know what you're doing, but eventually like, oh, okay, I got this. And when you start to have that feeling, then you'll be able to evaluate with greater accuracy. Am I really doing this or not? But until you get going, it's almost an irrelevant question.
I feel like you kind of have to mentally commit to doing it for a certain amount of time with enough frequency to give it a go. It's almost a bit like if you're starting to change your diet, or you're even just, I'm trying to be more hydrated or something. Mm-hmm. It's like, you can't just occasionally drink an extra glass of water and then go, oh, drinking more water doesn't really help anything, so I'm not going to bother. You have to do it enough for long enough before you can really judge whether there is benefit for you. And then once you have a sense that there is benefit, it will be easier to keep doing it, because you'll have a reason to keep doing it. Oh, actually, I feel better. And I've had clients and Reiki students who I've taught how to do this say to me, I hadn't realized I'd been forgetting, and I couldn't understand why I didn't feel great. And then I reminded myself, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that's better. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fantastically important point that I don't know that we've said long enough, that like hydration, like exercising, you can't just do it once or twice and decide there's no benefit to it. You have to actually commit to it.
Yeah, I mean, you might have an experience like drinking a glass of water when you're really dehydrated, where you go, oh my goodness, I feel so different. But more commonly, probably not.
Probably not. Particularly because you're going to get better at it. You're not going to be really great at it the first few times you do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
You're gonna need to. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you and I can offer that experience to somebody if you have somebody around you who already knows how to do this, because when we clean somebody's aura, we have a bit more practice with it. So we can give them a bigger before and after picture. But it's not fair to ask that of yourself if you're just learning.
Yeah. Yeah. So I
Okay,
wonder.
now can we talk about how to sage?
Yeah. Okay, go. Do you want to do it?
Yes, I'd love to do it. Okay. So, as I have confessed, not for the first time, not a huge fan of smoke. I wish there was another solution to this. I wish I could just put a crystal in a corner and call it a day, or in my pocket. It's not my favorite, but it is what it is. So the best thing to do is really find a scent that you feel comfortable with. I actually like the scent of sage, but even more than the scent, I like the form that it comes in, because it comes in a great big stick I can hold, which means I can light it. I can stick it in a bowl of rice and walk out of the room, and it will create big billowing clouds of smoke, which I can leave in the room and let it kind of exfoliate the room while I walk out and don't have to think about it. I can take that big stick in my hands and I can walk around the room and waft it into the corners and waft it underneath the tables and underneath and around the beds, and again create lots of smoke. But I can also peel off one of the small leaves and sort of gently just do my bed if I'm about to get into it, or gently do the room that I'm sitting in if I'm going to sit in it afterwards. And I like that versatility.
Mhm.
But
I've
really, the
actually.
idea is that the smoke has to touch everything.
Mm.
So in my head, I almost imagine little dots all over of energy, of energy. If I could see the energy and they were big little black cobweb things, and every time the smoke touches it, it releases it and it sort of dissolves it. That's what you're looking for. You want to sort of saturate the space so that all those things get dissolved.
And most importantly for this topic, your own energy field. So your own aura. So you want to, yeah, and you can literally just hold that bundle of sage or a couple of little twigs or an incense stick and kind of waft it around yourself. And as you know, obviously doing it to your own body, there's limitations, but maybe turn around and just let be in
Under
the
your
smoke
armpits, between your
kind of
legs.
under your feet, so kind of you're walking into the smoke that you're creating. I've actually started making my own smudge sticks. They're often called smudge sticks because the act of wafting it around is called smudging. Which I
What are
yeah.
you using? What dried herb?
Mixture. So I have some that are just sage, and then I also whatever's growing really. Like I have quite a lot that are sage and rosemary. I quite like that. That works well. I have some that have mint in, some that have a herb called
Wow.
mugwort, which is a very uplifting kind of happy herb. What else have I put in them? Cedar.
Oh, I want one.
I'll send you some.
Yes, some. That's amazing. Does it smell different? Can you say, "Oh, I'm burning mint," and it has a different smell than if you're
Yeah,
doing
they do.
mugwort?
They definitely smell different. The different depending on what's in them. But apparently, there's also because originally it was white sage that was used, but apparently because of the popularity in using this, a lot of the white sage comes from California and kind of hotter countries.
Yes.
Apparently it's been really over farmed. So I'm in the UK, I just use the any kind of sage that's growing in your garden seems to work just
Yeah,
fine.
and that's, I think, like food. Anything you can do that's closest to your own home
Yeah.
vibrationally is the best.
Yeah. So I grow herbs in the garden and I harvest them and just let them wilt a little bit and then wrap them in some uh, cotton thread. So not synthetic thread. Um,
Right.
yeah. And just leave them to dry and then you can light them.
I
But
love that. I kind of want to learn how to do that. That sounds amazing.
you said you put yours in rice.
I do, just as a means for if the embers,
Right.
into a big bowl of rice, and then if the embers fall off, they just fall into the rice. But then also, when it's time to put it out, I just pick it up and turn it over, and the rice snuffs it out, because
I use,
especially some of those bigger sticks
yeah,
can be quite meaty, and they can really burn
yeah,
quite
I
hard.
use sand, same
Right.
principle. Yeah, yeah, I did once set off
Yeah.
a fire alarm using
All the
sage.
time, mate. Doing
Because
that
yeah, I
all the
actually had the
time.
fire brigade turn up because
Yeah.
I hadn't extinguished it properly. So do really be careful. Make sure you have a heat-proof dish, and you'll be careful about when you're waving it around because you
Yeah.
do get little bits
Yeah.
that fall off. So yeah,
And
be
also in the how-to, you people may be surprised how nice it feels to smoke clean the bottom of your feet.
mm,
Do the bottom of my feet, and then I'll hold whatever I'm holding, if it's an incense stick or a smudge stick or something, and I'll hold it into the small of my back, and that's how I often do the back of me.
mm,
And then, as you
nice.
say, twirl it about a bit.
There's also this woody stuff called Palo Santo, I think.
I've seen that.
Um, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that has quite a sweet smell. And you light it, and it again, like the sage, initially there's a flame, and then that goes out, and as it's kind of more like embers, that's when you get the smoke. So you don't really want the flame, but you just want the flame long enough to get the smoke going. Then you can blow the
Right.
flame out if it doesn't just go out. And yeah, this wood it is probably a little bit less messy than the sage. And if you like a different smell, it can be quite a sweet woody smell.
Right. I
Yeah.
think what might be worth saying out loud is that you and I have both known how to clean our auras ourselves for decades, quite literally decades. And we
Hmm.
do it all the time. I mean, especially if we're working, we're doing it every few minutes, but we still will use smoke
Mm.
occasionally,
Yeah, definitely.
especially to clean space. It's just a
Yeah.
nice, easy thing to do.
Yeah, and I would say
Yeah.
that probably the smoke is easier to use to clean spaces. I mean, this podcast
Hmm.
topic.
Hmm.
Oh,
We can teach people how to clean a space, but yeah, I often just do that instead.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So before we move on to
Okay.
some of the other topics, some of the other techniques, I want to just talk people through, unless you had anything else you wanted to say about that, Tiffany. I wanted to just talk people through a really, really quick thing to help you. So remember that the important bit is not what you're visualizing in your mind, but is connecting into your body and to your energy so that you're supporting your energy system, your aura to clean itself, really. You're using your own energy to clean through. So a really nice thing to try to just get your mind a bit more in that space is to think about where you end. So we talked a lot in the last episode about how our aura is a field around us. So we actually take up more space in the world than our physical body has boundaries, than the boundaries of our physical body. So close your eyes if it helps you. Just take a few breaths and just kind of be aware of the room that you're sitting in or the space that you're in, and see if you have a sense of what's you and what's the energy of the room around you. And you can even do this by, like, if you think behind you, there will be somewhere there, if you're in a room, there will be a wall or maybe a chair. And there's a way that you can kind of sense that, even if you're not touching it. So if you're in a room with four walls, I happen to be sitting in quite a small room. So if I think about, obviously I can see the wall in front of me. If you think about the walls to either side and the walls behind, it's like you have a sense of them in space and that they're different to you. So just see if you can just take a minute and just have a sense of, like, where do I end? How far away from my physical body do I stop feeling like me and start feeling the room? Is there anything else you would add to that, Tiffany, to help people kind of find that feeling?
Just that it's almost impossible to overstate how important making that transition from understanding ourselves as. We
Mm,
say every week in the beginning of this podcast that what we're hoping to do is to give people greater ease and comfort and understanding of how they work in the world. And so many people, this podcast came about because so many people said to us, I just feel like you're giving me the missing chapter to the manual of how to understand myself in the world. And so deeply, so much of it depends upon accepting that we have energy and that we don't end at our skin. It's just a fundamental acceptance of how the human species works and how we're built. Because once you truly accept that we're not ending at our skin, that we're taking up this space and we're interacting with the world from that place, everything else shifts.
Yeah, and really play around with this. So if you're in, walk into another room and see how that feels. So you probably haven't changed much, just stepping from one room to another, but the room has changed. And again, if you take a minute, if you close your eyes and kind of almost like expanding just your awareness around you, see if you have a sense of, well, okay, those walls are further away, those walls are nearer, the ground feels different here, or I can sense that the ceiling is higher above my head or nearer me. And starting with those very physical boundaries can get you to help you to start tuning into, where do I end? If I was to step closer to another person, at what point do I start to, like, if I did it with my eyes closed, obviously, you may need a willing participant to help you with this. But if you were to slowly reach out towards someone, at what point before you touch them can you feel something shift, that's your energy, your aura, starting to touch their aura? So playing around with that, standing right next to a tree or a bit further out, how does that?
Yeah, I was going to say plants are a great way to, plants
Mhm.
and pets are a great way to experiment with this too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Do you have a sense, like, I can usually tell if my dog is laying on the bed, even if he's not touching me or making a noise, as opposed to when he's on the floor. Because and you might have had a sense if your partner's in the bed or not in the bed, and you're suddenly like, you might have had the experience of waking up and they're not there, and it's like somehow you knew they weren't there before you physically knew they weren't there. So all these things are ways that we can just get to know our aura better and exercise that muscle, that's the thing that's going to help you translate the visualization into something that actually has an energetic impact.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So, should we talk about the first way to ask your aura to clean itself? We keep saying you're going to clean your aura, but it's actually more accurate to say we're asking our bodies to clean itself. We're asking our
Yeah.
aura to clean itself. And
Yeah.
I think in that way it's helpful to remember that we ask our bodies to do all kinds of things all day long. We ask it
Hmm.
to pick something up. We ask it to walk across the room. We ask it to do all kinds of things. And this is similar in that we are asking our aura to clean itself. It's dissimilar that the connection between the us that is asking and the body part is not neurology. It's energy. So we're having to, instead of using the neurological system, the nerves to move my fingers, I'm asking my energy to do the work. The energy is asking the body to clean the aura,
Hmm.
which is why the visualization, we call it the language. It's the language that we're using to connect. But if we're not connected to the body, to the energy while we're making that action, we're just talking into the wind. We're
Or
just
just busy thinking.
whistling into a hurricane. Yeah, we're just busy thinking. We're not actually doing anything at all. So,
Mm.
which makes the first step, the first crucial step in doing this has to be connect to the body.
Hmm.
And the best way that I know how to ask people or give people suggestions on how to connect to the body is to become aware of gravity.
Mm. Yeah.
Because as soon as we become aware of gravity, we become aware that we are being, where there's a force that's actively pulling on us. And, if I'm going to lift my arm, I'm going to have to act against that force. And I have weight and I have substance and I have a body. And as soon as I feel that, I immediately become aware of where my shoulders are and whether or not I'm holding my breath. And I become aware of my feet. What do I feel under my feet? All of those very simple awarenesses kind of immediately being me, whoop, right to, yes, I am not made up of a giant head. I'm actually a body.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that unlike the kind of body scan relaxation technique where you're being mindful of the fact that you have a whole physical body, and you're not just, as Tiffany says, a head. I have shoulders that may well be up around my ears, and I have arms and hands and fingers and hips and knees and toes and all of the bits. So yeah, just taking a minute, particularly when you're first starting, just to breathe. And breath is also a really good way, I think, to bring you a bit more into your body.
Yeah.
And listening to sound is the other thing that can really help to bring you into your body. So again, if it's helpful for you and you feel safe enough and comfortable enough, close your eyes and just concentrate on what you can hear for a moment. And that might be your own breathing, and connect in with your body. So start there, so that then when you choose an image which you're going to kind of work with, or a concept, if you like, then you're already kind of in your body.
Right. And you cannot ask your body to do something. It can't listen to you unless you're connected to it.
Mm-hmm.
There has to be a merging of the two.
Yeah. And feeling a bit numb and disconnected and like you are all in your head, they're all signs that you're not in your body.
Well said. Signs you are not connected to your body.
Okay. So do you want to do the first one?
Once you have that. Oh, and also, by the way, once you have that, you might want to just take a second and think about, where do I end? Where does my energy end? Where am I? Where is that sense of presence that I have that's a few feet out from me but doesn't happen 10 feet across the room? Where am I owning my own taking up space, so to speak? Not just in the front of us, but in the back of us.
I was just going to say, and above our heads and below our feet. Front, back, sides. Yeah, a kind of a bubble, an egg shape surrounding you in all 360-degree glory.
Right. And then really at this point, this is the point where it becomes individual to who you are and how you work. If you're we're going to give you a whole bunch of different visualizations, but really you want to choose the visualization that helps you feel your body the most. And for some people, that's going to be the first one. And for some people, that's going to be the second one. And it doesn't actually matter. What matters is this first crucial step that we mentioned that makes the connection. And then what happens afterwards is really up to you. So Karen and I were actually think about it in terms of kind of like a earth, wind, air, fire kind of thing. We got a lot of really positive feedback about the podcast that we did on how do you know which one of these you are. So if you've listened to that and you've self-diagnosed yourself as which of these elements, you may find that the element that you are corresponds to which one you find is most useful to you. We usually start with water. Okay, so the thing that I like about the water image is that we usually suggest that people imagine themselves under a shower. And why I like that, or rain. And why I like that is because it has a kind of downward suggestion to it. This idea that the water is coming down over your head and all around you. So it's hitting your entire aura, the entire aura bubble. And the pressure of the water is going to touch. Remember, I was talking about how the smoke touches the spider webs, the cobwebs, the negative energy, the toxic dots all around us, that the smoke then touches and disintegrates. Well, the water, as it comes down, everything that it touches, it does the same thing. So it finds each of the particles that take up space in the energetic fields that we're calling the aura. And when that water touches it, it dissolves. So that sense of downward water kind of may touch on something, have to pause there for a second while that negative energy gets saturated, and that eventually the water is released and keeps on going when that negative energy is dissipated or dissolved, or however you want to see it. But again, there's this idea that there's water coming down over you, a few feet above you, a few feet around you, coming all the way down, and everything it touches, it takes down with it. It dissolves it, it evaporates it. Evaporates probably not a great word, but it dissolves it, it kind of melts it. Yeah,
cleanses through, doesn't it?
cleanses it, comes down, pools under the feet, and then eventually sinks down into the ground.
Yeah, so give yourself a few minutes or a minute or two maybe to really work your way down your body as Tiffany's described. And again, keep checking, am I feeling this or am I just imagining it? I also like to, you could use like stepping into a big waterfall, something like, again, same, just see what works best for you. And the only other bit I would add to that is also so our aura actually starts inside our physical body. It's not just a cloak around us. So really imagining that water can permeate all the way through your body as well as around. So you might find it easier to really try and feel it traveling over your skin and over your hair.
Between your toes, behind
and
your ears.
Down your back, under your arms, all the kind of nooks and crannies. But sorry, was that a very English expression?
Can you say nooks and crannies on the radio?
and through, but also through your body. And are you feeling a sense of something moving down through your body and around you? But it's that cleansing through. So taking your time to it doesn't matter how quickly you do it, and with, as Tiffany said, with practice you'll be able to do it quicker, but really feeling it moving down all the way down, and take your time as long as you need to really try and feel. Don't get too obsessive about it, but
and you can make that water whatever color works for you, whatever temperature works for you, whatever density works for you, because again, the visualization doesn't matter. What matters is that the visualization is the way your body's recognizing that what you're asking is, please clean your aura now. Please clean the aura now.
Yeah. And another part to that I would add is sometimes people get worried about where is that negative energy going. So again, if we go back to physics, energy can't be destroyed, it just gets transformed. So energy that's stuck in our aura that isn't helpful to us, it's not like some malevolent thing. It's just something that shouldn't be in our aura. So you can, if it helps you, you can think about it just being absorbed into the earth, and then the earth can just use it for whatever it can use.
Actually, I think about it like oxygen and carbon dioxide. We breathe in oxygen, the plants give it off as their waste. We breathe it in. We give off carbon dioxide, and they breathe that in as what they need, and it all just goes round and round and round.
Yeah.
Round and round.
Another version of that's very similar, but a little bit different. Again, just whatever works best for your particular mind, is to use a visualization of something like white light or a color, or little sparks or golden things, or again, the moving down and moving through you and around you are the kind of important bits. And do it slowly enough that you're not just mentally kind of skipping, but don't do it so slowly that you're obsessing over every cubic millimeter of your body. So just moving through. And I think with practice, it's fair to say you can do more of a whoosh rather than I'm feeling this moving down gradually, almost like something's just sweeping through, and maybe a wind visualization might work for that. But again,
okay, I was just going to say other visualizations for different personality types. I knew somebody who, when they did it, they used a windshield wiper, giant squeegee that they imagined themselves squeegeeing their aura from the inside, from left to right and down, like the way that you'd go from left to right and then swirl it down. So still basically down,
Mm-hmm.
but every in sections, I guess is the point I'm trying to make. That they would do it in sections. They would divide their body and their aura up into segments like orange slices and then do each segment at a time, being very careful to get each piece coming down and then letting it drop past their feet into the floor. And again, that kind of downward sense and
Mm.
going not just the surface of the aura, but the inside of the aura as well.
I had a client who came up with the idea she liked to do it when she was in bed, and then she got her mind all in a tangle because she wasn't vertical. And she used to imagine she was laying in a stream and it just washed past her. So, so kind of still
Oh,
going in the
neat.
same direction, but horizontal rather than
Uh-huh.
vertical. And she would imagine that water flowing through her body, from her head down. And that worked really well for her.
I love that because I have to say, even after all these years, I do find it harder to clean my aura when I'm not vertical. So I
Yeah.
love that. I'll have to try that.
Yeah. But you can absolutely do it seated or
Sure.
standing. I've never tried to do it standing on my head, but I imagine you could if you didn't have to concentrate too hard on that. Um, yeah. I have just one other thought before we just see if there's anything else we need to mention. What about sound, the vibration of sound? See, that definitely feels to me like that has an impact on our aura. Again, I think it might be one of those things that it can help stuff release, I think. I'm not sure if it quite
Yeah.
cleans it the same way.
Yes. That's interesting. I've been to a few sound healings that I've definitely felt cleaner afterwards.
Mm,
I can't say that I would say clean enough, but maybe that was the skill of the sound practitioner. I don't know. But
maybe.
definitely better along the lines of like a shower, like better, but not towards where I need to go, but not where
Hmm.
I need to be, not
Yeah.
ultimately where I need to be.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So do we I think that's everything we talked about. So, I mean, in
Well,
some ways,
I'd like to say, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, in some ways, it is, as you said, I think right at the beginning, it's very simple, but that doesn't mean it's easy. And it's going to require practice and commitment and finding a way of doing it that works for you. So feel free to modify what we've talked about, the important things being
Hmm.
something moving through you and around you and really trying to be connected into your body while you're doing it. So it's not just a mental exercise.
Yeah, I wanted to say something a little bit more about the fire side. I have heard, I think it is possible to, if it's in your nature, to have a sense that you're burning up all the
Mm,
debris in your energy, a kind of like big bursting
mm,
fiery thing that's burning everything up. It's hard for me to even imagine walking somebody through that because it's so like because you wouldn't have the help of the downwardness, you wouldn't have the going into the groundedness, I but that's also very far away from my nature, but I think that could work for some people. And also the kind of airy smoky thing where it
mm.
just kind of blows everything away or blows everything down or the smoke just brings it all up and then it all drops and goes away. I think that's possible. Again, it's this is one, the feedback that we got that we haven't talked enough about the how to, I think is a valid one. And this is a really hard one to do if to try to do this for you guys when you're not sitting in front of us.
Yeah.
The most important thing is you have to accept you have an aura, you have to accept your body knows how to clean it, and then you have to find the most effective way to connect to your body so it understands what you're asking of it.
I was just
Since you
thinking,
can't rely on your neurons.
we were talking about the earth, air, fire, water thing, and we were struggling with earth. But actually, I was thinking imagining laying on grass, or literally laying on grass, and just thinking of something just melting through into the earth underneath
Mm,
you. that I think could work. Yeah.
Yes.
So I think also be creative, and if something pops into your head, oh, I wonder if that will work, try it and see if you can use that idea, image, whatever, to help you connect into your body. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
Okay.
hopefully we
So
did it. Hopefully
yeah.
this time we
So
did it. You'll have to let us know, guys.
if you have any questions or you want us to talk about any more about any of those things, please do contact us on all our social media or through our website. This episode is part of a series of 3 on the aura. So in the previous episode, we explored what the aura is. In this episode number 2, we looked at how to clean the aura and different techniques and ideas for that. And next time, we're going to explore how to protect it and why energetic protection really matters in everyday life. And if you want to dive a little deeper, you can join our Patreon community, which includes every week with each episode some extended reflections, journal prompts, anchoring thoughts, energy experiments, things to help you support you in the practical side of doing some of what we've been talking about. So it's a wonderful way to continue learning and supporting our podcast. You'll find the link to that in the show notes. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time.
Bye, guys.